Hi guys, I'm Luke Reinbold. We're out here today with Molly. She is an 18-year-old standard bred, and this is she lives at a rescue right now, Sunshine Horse Rescue. And what we have, the reason she's here is she's a bolter, okay? Meaning on the ground, this horse, when something happens she's not a fan of, something that's scary to her, whatever. Her MO is she'll just bolt and take off. She actually did break somebody's leg and cause some injuries that way. So obviously that's not going to work. We don't want people getting jammed up. And quite frankly, at the same time, we don't want Molly to experience the fear and anxiety. And we're going to ask her to really come back and follow our lead. Okay? So that's what this really is going to come back to, is we've got to establish leadership to her. Now, just by watching her, obviously there's a plane flying over right now, we can tell that there's just not a lot of thought or focus, okay? Now, when she arrived here, she was in a nylon halter with a chain over her nose, just simply because she's so headstrong and pushy that was the best they could do to really manage that, which is, that's reasonable, we get it. But we've got to draw her out of that mindset, and notice I changed her over to a rope halter. Now, the reason that I prefer rope over those situations is, if you look at the rope, so obviously it's about a quarter-inch rope here. It's doubled up, so there's, put it together, it's about a half an inch. So when this horse pulls, this is going to resonate with that horse a lot more than, say, a nylon halter or a leather halter or something like that, okay? What I'm trying not to do is get in a tug-of-war with the horse. We're certainly never going to win that anyways. So instead, the point of a bunch of this groundwork we're going to be doing is to get her to follow the feel of that pressure, either on the side of her face, her nose, the pole back here, whatever it is that we're asking her to do, okay? Now, what I'm going to start with is leading position. It might seem elementary, but it's a big deal, okay? So what I'm going to start with is have an arm's length of rope. I'm not going to micromanage this horse by holding right up by that halter, okay? I'm going to ask her to make choices, okay? And I'm going to ask her to stay right with my shoulder, the pole, even or behind my shoulder. Obviously, right now, we haven't established that with her, so it's not making sense to her yet, okay? So we're going to take arm's length of rope. I'm going to have about one coil here, and then I'm going to have the tail over here, okay? Now, I'm going to use this fence to help eliminate some choices. Camera guy, if you come right over here, please. And I'm going to ask her to stop super soft, okay? The first one will be the lipness test. I'm just going to stop my feet, see what she does. Okay, now notice, no focus, no attention. That one was the lipness test. As we move forward, if she passes me, drive her back, okay? She stepped on my foot there. That feels great, right? But we've got to take her from this mindset. There, move back. Now, sometimes we have to climb the ladder, as they'll say. It's the analogy I use as far as how we ask. We start soft because the horse is only as soft as our first touch. There. Okay. Awesome. By the third time. Now we're starting to get some focus. There's a big sigh. She's thinking. And really what I'm trying to do is establish to this horse that I'll be reasonable, I'll be fair, but I just need her to do the same thing, okay? So we're going to get this going, and then we have the handler who is going to really try to make this successful back at the rescue. Jen, she'll be jumping in here. There. Okay, awesome. Now, the reason I started right along this fence is because of her bolting history. I wanted to have a little bit more of a constraint here so that she wasn't thinking about running away, okay? So now that we've started getting this established and we put that groundwork there, I'm going to bring her off the fence, ask the same thing. Good. And ask her to follow my direction, follow my leadership. Here's your good girl. Okay, she's licking and chewing, she's thinking, right? This is not about by any means being a dictator to this horse, but it is about asking that horse to think, to follow my direction, right? And what I'm going to really try to ask this horse to do is just like what we'll do when we're riding. If we're driving a horse, the concepts would all be the same. Is I'm just asking her, come on, back up, to always ask me the question. It's the $1 million question. If our horses are asking this question, good things are happening. The question is, what's next? Okay? What's next? Oh, there's a big sigh. There's a big sigh. Yeah, that's a sweet girl. Okay? So we're going to now forever, we've established this leadership position, asking her to stay behind me. Okay? Forever, we're going to hold this horse to the standard, going to the pasture, into the barn, to the trailer, going through the gate, whatever. Okay? Asking them to stay back behind me. Now, the reason that I'm such a stickler on that, if you watch horses interact out in a herd setting, out in the open, if the herd of horses is going from point A to point B, and there's a bottleneck somewhere, you won't see the subordinate horses blowing by those dominant horses, okay? So this is not about establishing dominance, but even more leadership, okay? So one of the next exercises I'm going to ask her to do is to follow the feel of this rope, okay? So here's how I'll do this. I'll run it over the opposite side, and I'll even do this with colts, and I'm going to put some pressure here, there, and I'm going to ask her to come around, okay? So now, when the pressure goes away, right, she's looking here at me. So instead of really trying to address the symptom as it is of this horse's bolting, instead of trying to address that, the symptom of a bolting horse, I'm trying to go after the cause in hopes that the symptoms just don't present. Think through it. Yeah, okay. Again, pressure goes away when she's here. That a girl. There's a girl. Now we're going to go the other side. Follow the feel. Follow the feel of that rope. Go to that side. Good girl. Now come back to me. Now, notice she did make that spin around, and then she thought about something over there. So we're asking her again to come back. Let's see. Pressure's coming across. And guys, if you're going to do this on a long lead rope. This one's almost 20 feet long. Try not to do this on a short lead rope. And if you're convinced your horse is going to kick, we've got to work on that before we're doing this, right? But again, just to hey, there you go. It's barely any touch now, and she's giving to that pressure and bending back around. Love it. Okay, light pressure, light pressure, light pressure. Good. Okay, so it's minor stimulus here. I mean, this certainly isn't anything that's scaring her, but we're asking her to think through the problem and not just bolt. Now I want you to watch when I come around here. As soon as she starts feeling a little bit of pressure on this rope, I want you to watch her head. Okay, a little bit there. You see her head starts giving, and there's geldings over here running in the pasture, distracted her a little, but she's still starting to do that. Okay, so horse needs to learn, follow the feel. There, you see her head start to bend right away as soon as she started to feel this. Okay, now I'm just going to check here. I'm going to actually lunge her out a little bit, and I'm going to give her something to think about and something to do in hopes that if she gets excited and starts thinking about the bolting, we'll ask her to really come back and to follow what we're looking for and follow our leadership, okay? The other thing, and the reason I'm going to do this, is we're going to do some direction changes. I'm going to ask her to really follow and pay attention to my leadership so that she stays here more and versus thinking run fast, okay? So we'll send her out a little, and we don't certainly have to send her really fast. You can stay right there, Curtis. But I am going to ask her to Pick that up at a trot. Come on. There we go. And again. Not in a big hurry. Come on, move. Gage, you might want to move, buddy. There we go. There we go. Good girl. Ask her to stop. Now let's watch her body language here. I'm going to back up, ask her to come in. There. I'm asking her to follow this feel. Again, pressure on that pole. There's the licking and chewing we're looking for, right? Because that tells us a horse is thinking. Anytime a horse is licking and chewing like that, that's like, in computer terms, that's the downloading symbol. If it was a computer, it's a downloading, right? Meaning they're taking in information that was just inputted. Okay, so notice when I go to back up here, I'm not pulling her here, but she's looking to follow that guidance, right? She's looking to me for the answers. That's the biggest part that what I'm asking a horse to do versus bolting is, hey, I got to take this and I got to do it on my own. Okay, let's ask her to go the other way here. Come on, girl. Come on. Ah, girl. Okay, now I'm going to ask her to change directions because we've got her. She was trotting to the left and she's trotting to the right. I'm going to ask her to switch. So I'm going to bring her in, follow that feel, right? Ask her to go out. Go. I'm not going to lunge this horse to get her tired. That's a pointless endeavor because today it might take 10 minutes. Tomorrow it'll take 15. Next day it'll take more if we lunge with that philosophy. There, out. Go. Now, as this time goes on, this is an important thing with horses, not just the bolters, but all horses. There, she thought about moving out. She started getting heavy on that rope, so I did the opposite, and I asked her, change something, come in, okay? But as I was saying, the thing that I've got to always remember with horses is I'm not going to treat them how they've been. I'm always going to treat them how I'd like them to be, okay? So if they're off on a little bit of something and not fully paying attention, right? In other words, I can't treat this horse like she's always going to be a bolter. If I treat her like she's always going to do that, I'm always going to be reactive, and I'm not really giving her good leadership. That's going to keep the problem continuing, okay? So, we'll ask her again here. There, love that lead rope. Notice, loose lead rope here. Following that direction. I'm going to ask her to turn. Now, at any point in time, with this horse specifically, ow, 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 ow. If she gets heavy on me, meaning goes to pull on that rope, I'm going to bring her in. I'm going to disengage that momentum and ask her to come in. And even maybe if she's going nice, whoa, ask her to come in. There. So she's finding peace here. Okay, good. Now, well, no, don't be pushy. She's still even a little bit pushy with her head. It's like wherever she's thinking she needs to go, she's just going to go there. Okay? And if a human happens to be blocking that space, to her it's almost like, well, that's their bad luck. Okay, so we've got to work through that. So here's an exercise that is so very pivotal. This one is super handy. We're gonna come to the fence again. There's so much we can do along a wall or a fence or whatever. Okay, now what I'm gonna ask her to do, and whenever I'm teaching clinics and things, this exercise, I probably get more questions on this than, well, any of them, okay? And here's why. What we're going to be asking her to do is to move this shoulder over, okay? So her nose will be right up by the fence, and she's just going to walk down that rail. What I'm trying to establish to this horse is that she needs to understand that we have a boundary. We have a barrier, okay? And she always has to stay out of it. Every healthy relationship in life must have healthy boundaries. If it doesn't, somebody's getting walked on, right? And a few minutes ago, it was me, my foot, okay? So what I'm going to establish is how big of a bubble or a space, a boundary, if you will, she needs to maintain, okay? I like to have mine about an arm's length, okay? And in that idea, the horse is not allowed to come inside my bubble or my spacing for any reason except I invite him in, okay? If I invite him in, that's fine. I welcome that. But they need to not just take it on their own, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk towards this shoulder, and I'm going to look for this left front foot to step over and in front of that right front foot, okay? As soon as it does, we'll release the pressure. So, wow, better than I was expecting for the first time. Okay, we'll ask again. If necessary, we'll tap that shoulder, which I did there. Now notice she's still thinking, the gate is back that way. She's still thinking about being there. So, move. No, right there, pushy. Glad we did that exercise a couple times. Because again, she thought about, hey, peace out. So notice I anchored down as soon as I can. Hopefully, if that happens a couple more times, we'll be quick enough to set our feet and get that to come back, but we'll see how it goes. The other thing that this is doing with this exercise, and I wondered if this would happen, it would provide a stimulus, something that would cause her to want to bolt, right? And then we could hopefully work through it, just like it did. There. Couple in a row here now. Love it. You gotta move laterally. There. Lateral. Here we go. Now I think she thought about turning right and bouncing, but she thought better of it. And that's what we're hoping for. I don't mind the horse having a certain thoughts. It's just, I'd rather they didn't, right? But the worst problem is when they go and do what that thought might have been. Okay, ask again here. There we go. Here we go. What do you think? What do you think? A big old fly buzzing around you here. Ask again. There, we got another one. Okay, that time, thankfully, she didn't pull quite as hard. So hopefully this is working because of that rope across the opposite side. Okay? There, good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Come on. There. What do you think? She hears there's geldings running around over here. There's commotion around. And guys, I'm not trying to eliminate all that. To me, it's opportunity. It's opportunity to really get that horse's mind even better despite all of the stimulus and the distractions, okay? Cody, why don't you come around to the other side if you would? All right, so now we're gonna work on the opposite side, okay? So same concept, we're just gonna go, good girl. Just ask that shoulder to move over. Okay, body is the cue. The rope just reinforces it if necessary. Got a girl. There. Yeah, oh, good girl. Love it. There's the licking and chewing, right? Listening to that information. Processing, I should say, that information. Okay, as long as my horse is still licking and chewing, I'm not going to ask again until they're done, okay? Which she is now, so. There we go. Perfect. What do you think? Pressure. Yeah. Move over. Good. You can tell that there is a lot of thoughts going through this horse's mind. And just tell with her breathing, right? That's the breathing. She's lots of those big sighs, which is one of the signs of a relaxed horse. She's been licking and chewing, all of those things. So clearly communicating to her what I'm looking for. There, she's starting to really come up through the grade levels on this, right? She's starting to do a lot more difficult work. There's the big sigh, right? Notice she's lowering her head. Now, remember, there are 5 signs of a relaxed horse. Every relaxed horse will exhibit at least one of those, maybe multiples. Those signs are, no particular order, lower their head, big sigh, which we've heard that, okay? Notice she's blinking. Okay, she might cock a hind leg. And lastly, licking and chewing. Okay, those are the 5 signs of a relaxed horse. Every relaxed horse will be exhibiting at least one. Think of the opposite of those 5 signs. Head up, eyes open. Their lip is not, they're not licking and chewing, their jaw is tight, and they're not making a big sigh. They're sucking in lots of air. And instead of having that hind leg cocked up, instead they're on the muscle and they're ready to go somewhere. Okay, so might be a helpful tip for you. All right, back at it. There we go. Do it again. There we go. Moving that shoulder over. Okay, so that's the other thing we're going to do is anytime in the future this horse is getting pushy on us, back. We're going to remind them, stay out of my space. Okay, that one was a reminder. That was a little bit of a review. We hadn't done that in a few minutes, so she forgot about it. Now she remembers. Love it. Just putting a little bit of respect in place so that we're not having a horse trying to run through us. So you notice how this plays out with these exercises we're doing. Not only are we asking her to not run past us, which would help to avoid getting run into, getting freight trained as it is, but we're also asking that shoulder to stay out of our space, right? So you put those two together and this horse is starting to go, oh, I get it now. You mean I just can't come run over you, right? And we're trying to say, yeah, that's exactly, right? Because we're trying to be fair. We're not being unreasonable with her. We're just asking her, don't be unreasonable back, right? Relationships are give and take sometimes. It's not, she can't just use her size as intimidation. Okay, so this is a good start. We're not certainly all the way there yet, but it's definitely on, we're getting closer, okay? So we're gonna bring Handler in, and we're going to bring her into it and let her practice some of this. And the interesting thing that we usually will see play out, just because one person establishes leadership to the horse, that's a good start. It's gaining. But usually, especially with a horse with this type of mindset, everybody that works this horse would have to do the same thing. Okay? It might not be as in depth, might not be as involved, but it'll still take some work. Okay? Because probably most of you, if you've been around horses a while, you've seen this. You can have 2 very different versions of the same horse based on who's sitting on their back or who's holding the lead rope, right? And we're trying to really just get her to have some consistency in this so that bolting isn't in her mind anymore, okay?